Hi everyone. Day 10 after surgery, day 50 something since diagnosis. Let's recap for today. I figured out how to use my remote and had a really great session today with my nurse, so I want to give you some of those little tidbits of things that I learned that answer a lot of questions I have and a lot of complaints that I've had over the past week. So I'm going to put the remote down so I don't press the button by accident. And I'm going to do that gently because that's the focus of today. I've been doing too much, too fast, partly because of just differing stories from different healthcare people that have been working with me. First and foremost, so this morning, again, I'm on my own for this weekend. By the time you watch this, it'll be way past the weekend because I'm behind on uploading all of these. And that's okay. I'm on my own this weekend. My friend went to, it's college moving weekend, so I feel like no one's really around this weekend anyway. Anyway, that's why she's not here. And then my son's working. This morning I had a very pleasant surprise. During the pandemic, a lot of people have been doing car parades for birthdays, mostly for birthdays or other events where people would normally gather together to celebrate, but they can't celebrate in groups because of COVID, and you don't want to have a COVID party where everyone all of a sudden gets the virus after, gathering in a group. That's the last thing I would want. But last week, during one of my not so great moments, I had texted a friend of mine who's a breast cancer survivor, and my text seemed to just be, I said this before, but my text seemed to be in response basically on what order they come in. So depending on what timing it is of who texts me first that day, you may either get a I'm okay or I need A, B, and C task done, or you might get me going, wow, here's all this stuff going on, oh my God, blah, blah. And that has just been basically when you happen to text me and and what's going on in my mind at the time. So the past couple of days, I've been really down, overwhelmed, in pain, a combination of different things. The emotions have really been coming up more so than they have through this entire thing over the past couple of days. And I don't really know why. The why doesn't really matter. Part of it, I think, is because of pain and me not having the meds for pain management like I was having because I was weaning off. But anyway, one of my friends who texted me, how you doing today? And I just went off. And it's easier for me, for people that have iPhones, that you could just hold the button down and just talk. I don't have the stamina to have a conversation back and forth. I barely have the stamina to be standing up during my vlog today. I don't really know why I'm standing, actually. That was kind of stupid. I don't know. Maybe it just pushes me to cut length down of my vlogs. But I don't have the stamina for a back and forth conversation. I don't. So I've been using that feature a ton, just for some back and forth. Then when I'm tired, I tap out and I'm just done and whatever. But I told her my wah, not feeling sorry for myself, but just expressing what was going on for me. I'm like, Barb's leaving this weekend, my son's working, my older son's at college, I'm a single mom, I do a ton of stuff on my own. But with all that's been going on, I can't step up to do things like I normally step up to do them. I'm usually the one that takes control and does X, Y, and Z, and I can't do that right now. And part of my pain is because even though I'm slowing down in gen time. I'm not slowing down for what I really should be doing. And it's been snowballing. And I'm sure there are many of you out there who are perfectionists, who do it all. There's plenty of people out there who are single parents that do a lot and juggle a lot. So I was saying all those things, and then adding to that pile is that I turned 50 this year, which is good in a weird way that my birthday's not for a few more months. So insurance wise, cancer wise, I fall into the younger person category because I'm not 50 yet, even though I turn 50 in a couple of months. And then the birthday thing is like, I'm turning 50. Like, that's a really big milestone. And if it weren't for COVID, I'd love to have some big party. I said that when I was 30. It didn't happen. I said that when I was 40. It didn't happen. And I'm like, well, now I'm 50. So come on, let's let that happen. And now it's the pandemic and it really can't happen. So I told her, I said, here's my list of not demands, my list of wishes that I would love to have happen. And, I was proud of myself that I could at least verbalize that and not just have it all stuck in my head. That, if there's something that you want, that you need, that is going to be good for you, people aren't going to know that unless you communicate. And I've gotten so much better with communicating over the years. So I communicated all of that to her. Poor her. It was a lot of stuff that I communicated. But I said, what I'd love to have is one of those car parades, And I said, there's certain people that might want to help, but just are not good energy for me. So I'm like, I don't really want, these 1, 2, 3 people there, because I need good energy around me. But I'm like, I'd love to have one of those, and I'd love to have there's someone in town who documents things all the time. I'm like, I'd love to have her take pictures just because, like for me, I don't need to be a spectacle or whatever, but just for me to have a picture of all of that, and just to catch emotions that whatever I, would be showing. And then like I work for a TV station, so I'm like, I'd love to have someone film it, because I'm not going to want to film it myself, because the point is just to go there and enjoy it. So my mind is just like buzzing, when I have ideas, they kind of go haywire. Oftentimes they do work out really well. That's how I ended up working at a TV station and having my own talk show and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, here's all the stuff that I want to have, and I don't know how to make them happen, and I personally can't make them happen. And some like weird fun fact about me is that the friends that I have are from so many different, someone called them pockets today. They're from so many different pockets. It's very often that I'll be out or something and about, and I run into someone and I run into somebody else, and they're both very good friends of mine, and they've never met each other. That really was the thing that sparked me starting Neighbors to Know, because I'm like, I want those people to be interconnected. We all live in the same town. It's not like I live in, Boston or some like, I'm outside of Boston, but our town itself is not super big. So it's interesting that these people like their paths don't cross, and maybe that's my purpose in this world, is to have their paths cross and introduce them. I'm putting my hands on my pockets intentionally because I notice that I'm talking way too much with my hands, and I have to stop doing that. So that's what I asked for. And then immediately after I asked her for that, somebody else asked, hey Jen, how's it going? How are you feeling today? And then I went, what? And told her basically the same exact thing. And I told like 3 people, I think. And again, I'm not even, some of those people knew each other and some didn't. But the reality is, like, it was really short notice. And it's college moving weekend. My friends that have kids moving into college are busy, But fast forward, he's not going to care if I say his name. My friend OC, he's just such an awesome guy. His wife is such a sweetheart. They have such a good family. Anyway, I know OC through scouting. When my kids did scouting, and scouting is such a family environment. Like, my experience at least, especially as a woman being, as a mom, being in scouting is different from like the bros of, the guys that go camping with their, they break out their pocket knives and open up cans with their teeth or, whatever. I had never gone camping ever until my kids joined Scouts. And I found such a huge family in that group. The kids kind of did their thing, whatever, but for me, it was the parents of the kids and doing things that I never normally would have done, and pushing myself to do things like belaying. It was the fall, so the rocks were boulders, cliffs, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. They weren't that high, but to me they looked that high. But I went belaying down these bouldery tall things, and it was the fall, and it had been raining, and then there were leaves on them, so it was slippery, and I slipped funny, and like my elbow was bleeding, and I'm like, woohoo, I got my first like boo-boo from something hardcore. I've been camping in a hurricane before. That was unintended. Also a scout event, but they thought that the hurricane was going to shift course, and it didn't. My point is that the guys that are there, and women, I mean, primarily it's the dads. It's such a family, and they could poke fun, and like everyone kind of has a nickname, and it's just fun. Like, I'm the LL Bean Queen. Because the first time I went camping, I'm like, I don't know what I need. So like, we have an LL Bean that's not too far from where I live. And I went in there and I'm like, I'm going camping. Like, please tell me what I need. And they hooked me up. So my tent, probably my sleeping bag, I had a waterproof jacket. I had waterproof pants on. And my boots. I had my hiking boots. Like, I had a lot of things that were LL Bean. So this one guy is just like poking fun, calling me the LL Bean Queen. But like, I like that kind of thing, you know. And when we were in that hurricane, and it just, you know, it was an experience. But like, you'd walk from one spot to the next, even just to use the bathroom or something, and then like, people shared each other's socks. I mean, new socks, not old socks, whatever. And then one of the guys was watching TV somehow in his tent. And then, like, he's been camping a million times, so he's got, like, a really good setup. Everything's dry and off the ground. And, you know, he asked if I wanted to come in, and I'm, like, shivering under the blanket, whatever. And he gave me a dry blanket. And another scout dad gave me, you know, dry socks to put on. It's just such a great group of people. But anyway, so that's how I met OC. And OC pulled together a car parade for me today. It was a lot of people, but like, it didn't, I don't even know. I didn't count how many people were there. I don't know. But where the people were from was just so meaningful. And some of the people that were there, I don't know well, but the point of who I know them to be, even though I'm not super close with them, just made me feel better. You know, I didn't want to have a large group. You know, if it's a car parade, they just drive by, and that's fine, you know. But when I got outside finally, I wasn't sure what was going on. But when I got outside finally, they were outside like in a big circle just chit-chatting. And I think there was about 10 people, I'm guesstimating. Whatever, it doesn't matter, but something like that. It wasn't a huge group. And, you know, they've got masks on. Everyone was spaced apart. But like, I have my scout family there, you know, like the guys that have gone camping with me. And the guys that know me to, you know, as much as I have my purple LL Bean jacket and, you know, whatever. Like, they know that I can hold my own, because most of the moms, not all, I mean, but mostly it's men that go to campouts. It's not typical that the women or the moms are the ones that go on campouts. So they know me as, like, not being afraid to get my, you know, my nails dirty, and like using a latrine out in the woods or something, and knowing that as a woman, when there's only probably 2 women on the camp out, you gotta pee fast, otherwise they're gonna like take a bungee cord and wrap it around the outside of the latrine, and then you can't get out. I don't know, fun hazing. And there were people from church that were there, which is really sweet. And it was a funny connection, because my younger son was in a church program, and his teacher was there, not thinking that his teacher's also married to one of my friends from church. I mean, I'm friends with both of them, but it was just a nice group of people put together. Somebody that volunteers at the TV station, who's an extraordinary presence at the station, was there, and he's always just like happy energy. He's such a good guy. And then there was a girl there who she videotapes a ton for Bedford TV. So she was like the Bedford TV roving reporter volunteer. And she videotaped the whole thing. And as I'm talking, I was like, wait a minute, is this going to go on air? Because then I have to watch what I'm saying and, not be as whatever. Anyway, so she knows how to edit. So I said, make sure that you don't say, on air what's going on. So she said she was going to take footage and put it on the news on Monday, which is so sweet. So I'll need to make sure I watch the news on Monday. If you live in Bedford, that's channels, if you have Verizon, wow, it's been a while since I anchored. If you have Verizon, it's channels 38. Well, the news is on channel 38. On Comcast is on channel 8. Bedford TV in general, I'll give them their little plug here. Verizon is channel 38, 39, and 40. And Comcast is channel 8, 9, and 99. And they're also on YouTube at youtube.com/BedfordTVMA. Thanks so much for watching. See you next week. Anyway, so it was a nice group of people. And then a parent who is part of church, but I also tutored her daughter. So that was really sweet to have her come. Like, that was just kind. And they brought cards, which was nice because it's a nice visual way of reminding me of people thinking about me. Yeah, it was just nice. And it was chill and relaxed, and everyone was spaced apart, so I didn't have to worry. And then someone said, did Max get here yet? And I'm like, Max isn't here. Like, he's at UMass, and I know he just, I think band camp just ended for him. So I said, he's not coming home. And I said, I told him not to come home because UMass Amherst has 25,000 students or something. And I didn't need to have that many possibilities of germs coming into my place or my surroundings given the pandemic. I do know that their school is requiring their students, and I think faculty too, I'm not positive, they're requiring their students at least to be vaccinated, but you can still get the variant from COVID even if you are vaccinated. And I said he's not coming, figuring I know more than they know that he's not coming. Anyway, about a half an hour later, I look over and I see my son's car pull up. And he drove the hour and a half, that's without traffic, to come see me. And I'm like, oh my God, I was just so, it's funny because Max, I get so teary-eyed about a lot, in a proud way. And Caleb makes me laugh. Even with the cards that they send, or, when it's the holidays or whatever, Max is always the one to make me cry, and Caleb's the one to make me laugh. But I was just so relieved to see him. I haven't seen him since this whole thing happened. He's been at school all this time. But I put clear parameters that I need you not to be in my face. I really, really want to give you a big bear hug, but A, it'll hurt, and B, you just came from UMass, and it's a humongous school, and I can't afford to get sick right now. I saw what it was like back in March when I said I can't afford to get sick, and I ended up getting COVID, and it was just extremely inconvenient. So he came, and I remember telling, I think it was Barb, I told someone, he does flags for color guard. He also spins rifles and sabers too for color guard. But I said, I just want to sit on the front porch and just watch him on the front lawn, spinning his flag. I find it so relaxing. In the same way that when my younger son plays snare, and when he does cadence and stuff for marching band, I find, even though it's a drum, I find it so relaxing. It makes me feel proud of them, and music is very much a big part of me. So he came, and he brought his rifle, and I asked him if he could, spin a bit, and he's gotten so good at it. It's crazy what they can do, with those things. I should be doing, something because my shoulder's hurting me. So it was a really nice afternoon when they all came, and then a friend brought me groceries, which was helpful because school starts next week for Caleb. And then I stayed with Max for a bit afterwards and sat outside, talking for a little bit just to catch up on things. And then the nurse came this afternoon after all that happened. So things I want to share with you about the nurse, because I have stuff written down. I want to share things with you because she told me things. I went through, like, my head was really jumbled when she got there because, like, I had just come from seeing that many people. I have not seen that many people. Like I said, it was, I think, 10-ish people. I haven't seen 10 people in a group since before the pandemic started. So that's going on like a year and a half. So it's weird. The social dynamic part is weird, to know how to talk to people when you haven't socialized like that in a year and a half. It's a really bizarre thing. I don't know, my shoulder hurts. All right, so the nurse came. It was a different nurse than the first two that I've seen. But the one I saw in the middle is the nurse I'm going to have, basically. She just wasn't free today. And I wanted a nurse to come today because I knew I was going to be on my own. So I wrote notes here about things that she said that I wanted to share with you. I feel like half of my vlogs, like, I should have a disclaimer at the end. Please don't listen to anything that I just said because most of it's actually not true. But you don't know that. Like, you go by what someone says and then someone else says something different and you don't know which one is the right one. But the best advice I can give, and what the nurse told me today, is listen to your body, not your head. And when you're like, and you know, when you're smart and educated and you're used to using your head more so than your body, I guess, that's a hard switch to make. It doesn't come as naturally to just stop and listen to your body versus your head. Like, even right now, you know, my body is saying that my shoulder hurts, which means I should be sitting down and resting my arm on the chair. You know what? I'm going to listen to my body. So that's what I'm going to do. Well, well, hold on. I'm going to do that, but the two things I wanted to show you while I was standing, which is why I purposely did it like this. Exercises that the nurse told me to do today. Basically, like, a lot of my pain is because I'm doing too much. So I'll talk about those and then I'll sit. But I'm going to do that in less than 60 seconds. So exercises, and back up a little bit. My arms, I'm moving them up too much. That's a large problem with a lot of the pain I've been having. So my exercises, notice that my arms are to my sides here. I can't even make my arms go flush to my sides because the sides of my boobs or my implants, whatever, are that way. It's not straight down, and that's normal. She told me it could be a few months, which I've heard from several people, before my boobs look like what the final product will look like. So exercises, if I have my arm here, I'll try to make my shirt unbunchy. There we go. If I have my arm right next to me, holding it at a 90-degree angle, like, one exercise is just going like this with my palm up and just going up. I mean, I should be doing it this way, but I'm not far back enough. It's taking this and going up and then down. Not all the way down, up to my shoulder and then down this way. So from the side, it's up and down, which seems so simple, but, like, it helps you realize what you're doing and what you're not doing and how much you're overdoing. The other thing she said, which I'll move back even further for, is starting here and going down straight to your side and then up to 90 degrees, down straight to your side, up to 90 degrees. Yeah, and then the other exercises that I was told before were doing shoulder rolls, which really hurt right now, but you have to make sure that you're not stiff. It's just doing slow shoulder rolls. And then, you know, taking your head and then very slowly doing neck rolls. Because even when I go this way, I can so feel a pull right here and then going back down. I wonder if there's a YouTube channel for exercises for post-mastectomies. And then I always have to undo it, so then go in the opposite direction all the way around and then go slowly. I can tell it's so stiff, so I've got to be doing those more. Breathing exercises I'll talk about once I'm sitting, but I wanted to show you that with my arms. I think that's all I have to show you sitting down. Other than this shirt, which a friend got me, and I saw it, and I'm like, look at this. I'm like, holy wideness, like, it's so wide. But because I have my black bra now, when I wear this, you don't see anything. You don't see my drains. You see nothing. So it's so freeing that, like, today I was actually cold out. You know, it's long sleeves. It's an extra size bigger than I normally would get. It's kind of blousy, but it goes up to here with my hands, and I can just let it hang and I don't have to worry about my, as I realize my sweatpants strings aren't tied, but I don't have to worry about my drain showing. The shirt that I had on earlier today, once I started walking outside, I realized that my drain was showing, and I'm like, I don't think anyone wants to see that. So I'm going to listen to my body and practice what I preach and come down here and sit. Oh, and see how this works. See, even right there, I'm doing some stuff that I really shouldn't be. See, how good am I listening to my body? All right, so arms 90 degrees next to me. And my drains are there and they're in good shape. So one thing to note about me, I'm very detail oriented, which is great when it comes to work and stuff like that. Not so great when it comes to relaxing and taking care and listening to your body. So even like my drains, for example, one of the things I brought to the nurse today was that, I wanted her to look at them because I have like more gunk that's coming out, whatever. And I noticed like today too, because I think I was a little bit anxious with everyone coming and making sure I was comfortable, I milked the drain. It's not called milking, it's called stripping the drain or whatever. But I did it like 3 times in a row because I did it once and then the drain filled up and then it went down into the drain, and then as soon as I let go of the tubing, it filled back up with blood again. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, And the nurse today told me that some people don't do that with the drains at all. Some people don't like milk them or strip them ever. So she's like, it will come out of your body as long as you have the bulb parts, squished to create that suction. She's like, it's gonna come out at its own time. Like, stop trying to force things all the time. And I do that. I know I do that, and been working on it. Obviously, still not completely done with that yet. I want to force it to come out, but that's not how it works. It has to go on its own timetable. There's a lot of life lessons I'm learning with this entire process. Maybe, who the heck knows? As I have my faith charm on here, maybe there's some bizarro life lesson in me getting cancer. That it's like teaching me these things that I should have learned or didn't learn yet, just about being a human and being happy and being accepting. Because I do a lot. And, if something isn't the way that, or if something's not fair or whatever, I do all the things I can do to make things fair. But the reality is you can't control life. You certainly can't control people. And as much as I want my life to look like A, B, C, D, and E. But that's just not how life is. And it's not a matter of like failure if things don't go that way. It's just life doesn't go the way you plan. Ever. I don't think there's one person out there who can say that every little thing that they've wanted in their life has come true and nothing's gotten in the way that altered their path at all. I can't imagine there's anyone out there who's like that. And if there is, like, God bless you. But it's just not really reality. And in my experience, as I've gotten older and met more people and had more experiences, it's the people that have experienced tough situations that get it the most. If you've never had to face adversity, that's great for you. And there's certain things that you just don't get, by not having gone through that struggle. And by the struggle, there's also different ways of what defines a struggle for people. So other things from the nurse that I realized today, these lovely things. I remember when I was like, oh, look, I can put my hair back in a what do you call it? In a ponytail, with my scrunchie. I can, but that also is not helping the situation with me being in pain and needing to have Oxy in order to relieve the pain. So I can't do that. I physically can't even right now. Like, I can, she put her arms out like a T. Can I do that? Yes. Will I feel it pulling like crazy? Yes, which means I shouldn't be doing it. So me putting, my shirt's kind of baggy right now, but if I bunched up here, I don't want to, I can't go out to 90 degrees. I just can't. I would say 60 degrees is where I'm comfortable, like right around here. I'm comfortable with that. And beyond that, I can't. And she's like, you know, putting my hair back requires my hands, like, I should not be going above like here. You know, if I take my shoulder and make a right angle with my arm and then up, it's too high. And I've been doing that because I physically can, not realizing how much I'm straining my body and all this reconstruction that's been done by doing that. So goodbye scrunchies. You know, I thought this would be easier having a clip like this because I could just go whoop or whatever, but I think that's too much too. I mean, so doing this is okay. Like I can go up to here, you know, and this is fine with where my arm is, but that's pretty much the extent of how high I can reach, which is why I can't shampoo my own hair, because I shouldn't be putting my hand higher than this, and that's obviously not reaching the top of my head. So number one thing that I'm not doing right. Even this morning, I went to, I wasn't sure if I should make coffee or not. And then I'm like, you know what, I am going to make coffee. And I wanted it out of my favorite mug that I got when I drove to the top of Mount Washington. And the cup was on the mug was on the very top shelf. And I'm tall, so usually it's not a big deal. And then I'm like, well, I could get a chair to reach it, but then that's a little uncomfortable, and that's a lot of strain I'm putting to get up on the chair. It's not a safe idea. And I'm just staring at the cup. I didn't cry or anything, which was good, but I'm staring at the cup like I can't reach it. And then I thought, like, a brilliant thing that people should just be told to buy is one of those grabber things, you know, like those things that you hold and you go like this and it grabs things for you. I'm like, one of those, a high quality one of those is something that I really need to look into because I can't reach it. And at that time of the day, Caleb was home and he was still sleeping. I've been up since 5, I think. I'm not going to wake him up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like on his last weekend before school starts, to get that. But as a to-do item, in the kitchen and a few places, even in my bathroom, when the nurse went in my bathroom, she looked inside my cabinet and she's like, so how are you brushing your teeth? And I'm like, I have my electric toothbrush, which is right out here. And I opened the drawer and I'm like, here's my toothpaste. And she's like, stop. She's like, you just opened, I didn't even realize, because it's habit. You opening the door to get your toothpaste out. You know, you grabbing toothpaste in the morning is habit. I didn't realize how far up I was reaching. Like I said, I'm tall. I'm able to reach all the shelves in my apartment. But I didn't realize how high I was reaching and what angle I was reaching. So she's like, you're going to have, not me, someone else is going to have to come in and rearrange stuff to put all the stuff that I need on something that's lower. So that when I'm reaching for it, I'm not reaching beyond, you can't see it right now. Let me, like, here's where I'm standing. I can't reach beyond like this level, which is basically like 90 degrees out. If it's higher than that, like it's too much. You know, right now I'm a little bit sore, but like putting my hand straight in front of me like I'm Superman kind of, but my arms are pretty much just straight ahead of me, if you can see that. Like that's where your arms should be. So like if you put your arms out right now, you can see like here's the top of my fingers, but they're flat this way. So there is a matter of stretching certain things in order to get things to, you know, not be stiff, like your neck and your shoulders. But then there's also the about moving your arms higher than they should be. And they also told me, like in general, which I think is a huge rule of thumb that most people hear about, is not to lift anything heavier than a gallon of milk. And I said that to her and she goes, half gallon. I'm like, what? Like it says in writing gallon. But I don't know if it's everywhere or if it's just because I've been overdoing and she wants me to heal. I shouldn't be picking up anything more than a half gallon of milk. And I'm like, a half gallon of milk? That's not very heavy. It's not heavy at all. Like I went to have dinner today and I pulled out a Tupperware that had soup in it that someone brought for me. And I'm like, this is clearly heavier than a half gallon of milk. So I'm standing there in the kitchen by myself and I'm like, well, what the heck am I supposed to do for dinner now? Because I can't take the dinner that's in front of me and make it, you know? And then like, so I did anyway, which I shouldn't have, but I'm making measures going forward. You know, she said you just put it in smaller containers. Duh, of course. put it in smaller containers. So I'm not, carrying a heavy thing. I just am carrying one of several bins that have the soup in it. Which I guess is something to ask for going forward from people that are bringing me meals, to not bring them in super heavy things because I can't pick them up. Which is just annoying because, like, people that are bringing me food are doing so much as it is, and now I have to ask for this too. It's like, please don't have A, B, C, D, and E because of my kidney stone. I have an allergy to this. My son has an allergy to this. Now please don't have them in something else. That's just me. I know people want to help. It's just like an annoying thing to have to add on to the list of things to ask for. And I have to get over myself about being all worked up about what I'm asking for. It's like having the angel and the devil on your shoulders. What else did she say? In your bed, they always want to take a look at the position in your bed of how your pillows and stuff are, which my setup, everyone said, has been great. And generally, you want to be in a beach chair position anytime that you're laying down, like in bed or whatever. Yeah, she said no lifting more than 5 pounds. She also put in a referral for PT, which I've heard mixed things from because I've heard from many places that they don't start physical therapy until your drains are out. So I'm not pushing that too much. Occupational therapy, like how do I make my coffee in the morning if I can't lift these things up, Even like this, oh my gosh, even the meds, like Barb laid out like my meds and when to take them, Post-its, blah, blah, whatever. But I said to her, my timer went off that it was time to take some med when she was there. And I went to open it and I said, I stopped and I said, even this, it hurts to open it. You have to push it and then turn it. I'm like, that hurts. And she's like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, well, right now is a perfect example. No one's here but me and you, and I have medicine to take. How am I supposed to deal with that? And she looks at me with this snide response. And she goes over and she opens every single one of the lids in front of me. And she's like, now don't close them. She's like, don't knock them all over either. It's not like I live with toddlers or something. She's like, now they're all open. She's like, don't close them, People in my house are not going to sit there eating like 25 pills of Tylenol or whatever. But something just so simple. So she took care of that for me. And again, she said about having the home health aid. I don't know how it's going to work because I know who has to approve it is someone who told me I didn't need it. But that's just one person and it's a team, so who knows. The deep breathing, this was so interesting. So I just told you a few days ago that when I talked to another nurse, whatever, they told me that I'll practice now, since it's about that time, that when I do my breathing, obviously you should be sitting up straight. She said to breathe in deep and quick, like, and so that's what I've been doing the past couple of days. And the nurse says, no, don't do that. And my gut said to me, like, you're not really ever supposed to inhale deep and quick like that. But I don't know. I've never had major surgery done. I've never had my boobs removed. How am I supposed to know? And she's like, no, your breathing should be meditative. You breathe in through your nose and out through your nose or out through your mouth like you would if you were meditating. And I meditate. Like, I'm very used to that breathing. And then I still had, I don't think I vlogged about this because this was just last night. I used to play flute when I was in marching band. Well, when I was in band. I've played flute since, like, I don't know, 4th grade or whenever they started instruments in my school. And I have my flute. Most of my sheet music is like the best of 1980s slow ballads. But my son's in a marching band, so I asked him if he could photocopy or send me the sheet music for the songs he's doing for marching band. And what's so great, the difference in marching bands is that now when you get sheet music, they also send you an MP3 of the song. So last night I spent some time and like playing the flute, she said, is the best instrument to do physical therapy with when it comes to breathing exercises. And your arm physical therapy when it comes to mastectomies. Who knew? So I said playing a trombone would be a bit more complicated because you're like, you're moving your arms a lot. But flute, you're holding it here. So this hand, both your hands are moving. This, I'd get up and get it, but you can picture what a flute looks like. This hand, maybe I'll play for you someday. This hand does some movement, but most of your funky movements come from the right side. And obviously the way the flute is, more of the weight is on the right side. So I asked her, I'm like, I don't play for super long, but I said, if I'm playing, I'm just nervous that too much of my weight is going on this side and I'm doing too much here with the fingering as it is. But she said, it's perfect. That's like where the arms are is exactly what you want. And you moving your fingers around is exactly what you want too, because that practices all the moving pieces, you know, to keep you from getting stiff and to work your muscles back up again. And even with your shoulders, like to keep your shoulders. Maybe that's why it hurts actually. Like not in a bad hurt, just because I'm using things that I should have been using for the past, 10 days. And the breathing part of it is perfect too, because it's controlled breathing. You know, you're playing based on what song you're playing. And fortunately, it's not like I'm playing like Beethoven, like, you know, blah, 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 blah. That's not what I'm playing. Granted, there are sections of the songs that I was playing where the beat picks up, which I can always slow down myself. But the notes are staccato, so they're quick and they're short, you know, like da-da-da-da. And that's a harder thing to do when you're trying to breathe slowly. But if you have like the harmony part of the song and you're playing like, you know, longer, like whole notes or half notes or whatever, it's very controlled. And I can control with the flute, I can control my octaves. So, which interestingly wasn't as, I purposely was taking it down an octave to be at the middle range. Because if you go too low, you're breathing harder, I feel like. And when you're going high, you're breathing in a much different way. But I actually realized that the high breathing is just a different kind of breathing. But when you're making higher notes with the flute, it all comes out of your lips and how you're pursing your lips. Because she said, like, you know, a good way to do the breathing too is to breathe with pursed lips, like almost like you're sucking out of a straw. And when you're making higher notes with a flute, you have to make the hole in your mouth smaller than like you had your regular two, and then your other one like, you know, you're making the hole in your mouth smaller. But it didn't require more energy in my breathing to make those notes. It was a matter of my face, not how I was breathing, which was interesting. So who knew? I brought out the instrument and the music just because I thought it would be relaxing for me. And turns out it was like something super awesome. All right, so anything else? Oh, my armpits. My armpits, she said that some people get, of course, bing, one of them, an oversensitization of your nerves in your armpits after surgery. And she reminded me it's a marathon, not a sprint. I hate that expression. But I have to learn to be more that way. I'm going to be so like, I'm going to have my nice perky boobs and I'm going to be so in tune with myself as a human after this whole thing is done. But yeah, the armpits, I told her, even if I touch my armpit hair, just the slightest, no matter where it is in my armpit, I'm like, it hurts like holy hell. And even the parts in my armpit that aren't my hair hurt like holy hell. So I said to her, should I shave them? I know you're not supposed to use a manual razor. If you're going to shave them, they said use an electric one. But I said, should I use that? Will that make it better? Will that make it worse? And she's like, no. She's like, don't shave it at all. It's actually going to make it even more sensitive. So just let it hang. I guess it's good. It's getting to be September. It's getting warmer out. She's like, just let it do its thing. I'm not a super hairy person, so whatever. But she said it's just part of the process. And when she said about the oversensitization, I remembered, I'm like, in the mornings, a couple of times or more than a couple of times when I've woken up, I feel like I'm in sensory overload, like I want to punch a wall or something. And she's like, that's all the nerves. They're like, they cut so many parts of me. And maybe I should just watch finally a video of what the surgery looks like. I sure as hell wasn't ready for that. I think I'm on day 51. So maybe after 51 days, I think maybe if I actually look at a video, I mean, I'm not going to watch it for 6.5 hours, but of how this process works, of how the surgery works, it'll help me understand more of why I'm feeling the feels that I'm feeling. So yeah, it tied it all together. So that was interesting. Listen to my body, not my head. I have to like put that in lipstick on my mirror or something. I love that. Breathing exercises I talked about, meditation breathing, don't take sharp breaths, play the flute, the PT stuff I just showed you, beach chair I told you, move the cabinet stuff told you. Oh, interesting. One thing she said to me was, because we're talking about the oxy and how to like schedule that out. What's interesting is that it's 7 o'clock at night and I have not taken the oxy since 5 o'clock in the morning. So that's 14 hours I've gone without it. Interesting, huh? And I think I was sidetracked with stuff today, but makes me realize that maybe I don't need to be so dependent on it. Having said that, like the Tylenol doesn't really do much of anything for me. So, I don't know. That'll need to be a conversation I have with the breast surgeon or her nurses tomorrow. But the home nurse said, never wake up to take your meds. Because I showed her my schedule and she's like, you know, some days you're waking up at 1 and you're waking up at 5. It's like a sleeping baby. You don't wake a sleeping baby. You let them sleep. She's like, you know, and I said to her, like, they told me not to chase the pain. So if I wake up in the morning and I'm in extraordinary pain, she's like, then take the oxy. I'm like, okay. But I'm also then waiting however long, it's 45 minutes for it to kick in, and then I'm in pain for 45 minutes. And then I'm thinking, well, I'd rather be in pain for 45 minutes than be in pain for like hours. And sleep is like so crucially important. So the key thing is like, get the sleep in, you know, stop waking myself up. I'm not sleeping in chunks for more than, last night I think it was 6 hours. And that was the first time that happened because I'm taking meds at 11 p.m. and I took meds this morning at 5. I was supposed to at 4:30 and I pushed it back to 5. But I have to be able to get sleep in larger increments. So yeah, never wake up to take meds. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you that's what she told me. The oxy, she said, take it when I need it, and not at some predetermined time. You don't have to count out the hours for the oxy. Again, I'm a math person, so that's me, where I'm like, okay, I took it 10 hours apart. Now I want to take it 11 hours apart. And then I want to take it 12 hours apart. And she's like, oh my Lord, can you stop with the freaking graphs? Yeah. And then the Tylenol, which was really interesting. So I've heard pretty much this whole process to take the Tylenol at certain points throughout the day. Don't chase the pain with the Tylenol. Tylenol does not do, I mean, maybe it does and I'm just not seeing it, but it doesn't seem to do much for me. I can't take like Motrin or ibuprofen or whatever because I'm taking Bayer, but I'm taking a low dose Bayer because of my FMD. I don't take Bayer as a pain reliever. Taking 81 milligrams is not enough to be even a pain reliever. But I take the Tylenol and it doesn't do much of anything. I guess it's better than nothing, but they're saying, you know, take it every 6 hours, every 6 hours. So if you're taking it every 6 hours, take the day divided by 4, that only lets you sleep for 6 hours at a time. So what she was saying, which was interesting, and I'll do this tonight and see how I'm doing tomorrow, but hopefully you notice I'm already cheerier than I was yesterday. A lot of that's because of earlier today. Is, you know, take, like I'm due tonight to take it at 11 o'clock p.m., you know, don't count forward and take it at 5. Whenever you wake up is when you wake up. Then you take the Tylenol and then the clock restarts. Like, don't get so stuck on 5 a.m., 11 a.m., 11 p.m., 5 a.m., like whatever, I missed the time in there, whatever it is. Like, don't be so rigid on those times. You know, let yourself sleep. And then when you take it in the morning, you know, take it when you get up and then just restart the clock. And if I get up at 11, which I doubt, but if I wake up at 11 a.m., then fine, take it at 11 a.m. and then count 6 hours from there, which is good for your body too, because then you're not taking it as much. I mean, you're not taking, you know, like altogether you could be taking, I don't know, 3,000 milligrams a day versus like 4,000 or something. So yeah, so learned a lot. I just have to keep repeating in my head over and over and over and over again to listen to my body and not to my head, at least through this process, and with a lot of processes, I guess, that are coming to mind. So, even with the remote, I'm not going to reach up when I'm done with this. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to take it easy is what I'm going to do. Oh, one thing too, water. Don't drink a lot of water through a straw. It makes you super gassy, which is not helping with the bathroom situation, which, by the way, is back to normal. Hallelujah! Yeah, back to normal, which is crazy that it's back to normal in such a short period of time. So that's one less medication to take. And since I'm not taking the oxy, obviously it's been, 14 hours now. The oxy's not I won't be as constipated because I'm not on the oxy anymore either. So that will just make life easy too. But yeah, super excited that I'm like totally back to my normal rhythm with all of that. And hopefully we'll get my belly back down to where it was before all this crap happened. Yeah, so I hope that was informative for you. I had a very informative day. I had a very loving day with people stepping up. Definitely takes a village, man. And I'm just so grateful for my village. I really am. And if it doesn't, I realized that with this thing, I have to click it once to get it to connect to Bluetooth, and then click it a second time after it's done blinking to actually shut it off. So that should be how it works. Just takes patience. It's a marathon. It's a marathon and not a sprint. So let's see. One to make it connect. See it beeping blue. Oh, stop beeping, and here we go.